everyone. Welcome to the Hear Her Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Jennifer, and I am a knitter, crocheter, sewist, quilter, and all-around creative located in Baltimore, Maryland with my partner and 3 miniature schnauzers and 2 black cats. So today, I'm coming to you with a little bit of a knitting year wrap as opposed to an everything I knit in 2024 video. I probably will do an everything I knit in 2024 video, but right now I just can only do a little bit at a time. And I'm also coming to you with a brand new finished object, my final finished object for 2024, which unfortunately is going to be a finished object that is going to a friend. It's beautiful, it's lovely, and it's itchy. So this is the first time I've ever knit with mohair. And I knit with mohair in my Mountains and Sea sweater, which is a pattern to be released, I think, within the next week by Sarah's Handmakes. And it is a really cozy, comfy, oversized stockinette pullover with a V-neck, and it has 2x2 knit ribbed cuffs and hems, like a large amount of 2x2 rib on the cuff and the hem, and a split hem, and a moderately deep neck. So I knit this with one strand of Pattons Grace, which is a cotton yarn in the color navy, and then one strand of a mystery mohair that I picked up off thrifting. It is an Asian mohair, so it has like a ball band I can't read. It was said it was some sort of angora mix, and it is in the colors purple, teal, and like a golden orange, which I thought was really fitting for the Mountains and Seas, because Mountains and Seas, to me, the mountains evoke the purple or purple mountain majesties, and also the orange gold makes me think of the Aspens from where I grew up, and then the teal makes me think of the ocean. Not the ocean here. The harbor in Baltimore is definitely not teal, but nice ocean. So that is my first and my last finished object for 2024. And it is not really going to come as part of the wrap up. I will be changing as we go. I am also going to change out of this immediately because it's starting to itch really bad. I put on this shirt I have under it. I was like, oh, maybe it'll be okay. And I sat down and was like, oh, nope, still can't do the mohair. So mohair is not for me. So it is beautiful. I love it. It's thick and cozy, and it would be such a good, cold weather, comforting thing to throw on, but I can't stand it. So I'm not going to be throwing it on. My behind itches. And I'm sitting on it. Ugh. All right, so we're going to take this off, and then we'll come back to my everything I knitted in 2024 knitting version of a Spotify Wrapped, okay? One moment. Welcome to my 2024 knitting wrapped video, which might as well start with what I'm wearing now, which is my boyfriend cardigan that I knit. The pattern is by Stephanie Capel, and I may be butchering that name, and I'm so sorry if I am, but that's my best guess. So this one was knit in Lion Brand Retweed, which I believe is mostly acrylic. And I did a little bit of my own pattern modification and did some shaping in the body because it was very much a straight up and down sweater. And that gave me, aside from the slightly short sleeves, because this is a thing I still have a problem with, I swear I knit them all and I measure and they still always end up short. So, maybe you can tell me what I'm doing wrong. But anyway, this cardigan was the first thing I completed in 2024. So we have literally gone from the last thing I completed in 2024 to the first thing I completed in 2024. And this was very much my most worn item of 2024. So talk about that real quick. Part of why I think this boyfriend cardigan was my most worn item is, I mean, it's very warm and cozy and kind of hutchy. So I did a lot of wearing this around the house, which may be part of why it's my most worn. But also, it's knit in acrylic, so it's easy wash. Like, I can throw it in the washing machine and not worry about it, and it doesn't change the shape of it at all. I don't dry my clothes, so I've never thrown anything in the dryer. I don't know what that would do, but it probably wouldn't be good. So that, and then also I really love the tweed. I love how the tweed gives a lot of visual interest without me having to do a lot of work, because this was the first garment. Yeah, this was the first garment I ever knitted, which apparently I'm really ambitious. But yeah, so this was the first thing I ever knitted, the first garment I ever knitted, my first year of ever knitting garments, and the first thing I completed this year in 2024. So, what's next? So this is my favorite garment. And then my favorite garments, there are a couple that are not out or recently finished. So this is also my first year of test knitting, which I will probably take a step back from test knitting because I definitely don't need that stress after the year we've had. But we talk about a year of test knitting and a year of my first ever knitting garments. I have a couple of favorites that I would like to talk about. Come back and talk about my favorite knits of this year. It's everything from the knitting process, the process of the knit, the process of the test, the finished garment, and the amount of wear. So all four of these kind of go into different categories. So we'll start out with my mountains and seas, which is this. I have some B-roll, which I'll put in. So my mountains and seas. Sweater was a test knit by Sarah's Handmakes, and I will say this was one of my favorite finished garments as far as the knitting process. So first of all, this was a really needed knit. Like, the timing of having a all over stockinette with 2x2 grid knit pattern on my needles was absolutely perfect. It could not have been better. I will explain a little more. Actually, I'll explain about that now. So first of all, I'm going to briefly mention parental death and grieving, and I'll put in a timestamp for when I am done talking about that, depression and just the things that go along with it, and why this process knit was helpful for me at that time. So if you want to jump forward to this timestamp and you, for whatever reason, do not have the ability or the bandwidth to listen to this right now, that's fine. I completely understand. I am very much in that phase myself. So I started knitting this. I believe I started knitting this in October. So starting in October, my mother-in-law started having more health problems, ongoing health problems, and my partner had to fly out to her to be with her and her husband and his sisters, and he was out there for a month in various phases, um, and we went through a period of sort of not even anticipatory grief because my mother-in-law was in hospice initially, and so we were grieving and we were dealing with planning for and like sort of mentally preparing for losing her, and then she improved and she got to go home and she had round the clock healthcare, home healthcare, and so my partner and his sisters were there. Got to see everyone except for me. I am high risk, as I've mentioned before. I don't travel unless I don't have a choice. So I was not able to go out. And also, my mother-in-law has had similar health issues, and so she understood and was aware of my risk factors and didn't want me to take the risk, which I don't know if maybe I'll regret that in years to come, but that was the best solution for us at the time. So I was here with my pets, managing all the pets in the household for a month by myself while my partner was helping manage and like helping support his family. And then things got better and we thought, okay, I guess things got better and everyone went to their respective homes, right? And so my partner came home. And then a month later, things started getting worse again. So unfortunately, she passed on Christmas Eve. So it's fairly recent and we're still dealing with that loss, which is why the end of the year end of the year roundups are really hard for me. Just it's hard to look back because honestly, I'm having a hard time looking anywhere, right? So while that was going on, this was my main project. I had some other things I was going back and forth with, but it was very, very nice to have a plain stockinette. Really comforting, really like it's not exactly an easy knit. It felt like an easy knit. It was just so much easier than like all over lace and cables. But it also was just so comforting. And so it was fun to knit because it was fun to watch the colors look up. So my mountains and seas. Well, this mountains and seas felt a lot of difficulty for me. And we'll be going to a friend mostly because it's itchy. Was one of my favorite knits this year. Just because of the pattern. And so when it comes out, I will definitely be sharing that because I think I had fun with it. Also, because I really, really want the mountains and seas, I've already got Lion brand. This is 100% Superwash Merino in the color charcoal. So I am going to get that in this because I already know that this does not itch me. I know I can wear it. I have almost a whole sweater in it now, so I will make another one as soon as some of my other processes are off my needles. So then, my next favorite garment was, I think, this is sort of a favorite. This is a favorite finished object because I was just so impressed by how it looked when it was finished. So this is my Beachside, called my Beachside cardigan by Lillian, which is it's really lovely, all over bow cable, which is a lace cable. Now, I said this before, and y'all will probably know that I love lace. Like, lace is some of my favorite kind of knitting. And I'm not really sure why. Like, I'm not a super girly girl. Like, I don't normally practice wearing lace, but I love pattern. I love things that look like this. So when I finished this, I was just so pleased with how it looked. And the pattern, it looks so neat and nice. And honestly, like my brain can't really believe that I knit this. But this one is knit in Pattons classic wool worsted in the color Seafoam, which was a worsted weight. And it is just beautiful and lovely, but it is still shorter than I want. And it was bottom up, so 16 the length on this one. I may do in the future, but I feel like there's no easy way to fix a bottom up garment, the length on a bottom up garment, without making it look really strange. So I may be keeping this as for wearing over dresses. Like, it looks adorable over my very cute little navy blue long sleeve swing dress. So if nothing else, this will just be a cute little dress up cardigan. But this pattern is gorgeous. I'm not sure if this sleeve style is the best for me. I think that Unraveled might fit me the best, just based on how this one fits me. But it's beautiful, and I love it, and I will wear it tons when it's wearing dress season, which is not right now. So that is my Beachside cardigan mock cable knit by Lillian. And I will obviously link the pattern and the project page below for you to look at. And then my next favorite team, knit, group, knit along, Cal. So this is my Salty Days sweater, which is a top-down lace and cable knit pullover pattern by Katova Kika or Veronica Lindbergh, which I knit this, well, I knit most of this, as a part of the Salty Days knit along with Morgan Unraveled and Hayley Space. And I just finished the neckband yesterday on this, and so I'm going to pick up the sleeves for the sleeves next. But as far as this pattern goes, I absolutely love these cables. I can't wait to knit something else with these cables. It is, I love that it is a bunch of different kinds of stitches, maybe. So like we have the 2x1 rib, and then we have the lace, the picot lace section, and then we have the diamond lace section, and then we have this cable, and then another diamond lace, and then another 2x1 rib, and then the hem is twisted rib. And I made a split hem because I am worried it's too tight on me, and I do think that for me personally, that's probably the best choice. I'm very excited to see what this looks like when it's done and blocked, but I am concerned about the length, so I have left it until I finish the sleeves, and I can try it on with the neck and the sleeves and see what it does. But this is my favorite all over texture knit and my favorite buddy knit, my favorite knit along for this year, which was the Salty Days pullover by Katova Kika, and I am very excited to see this finished. Okay, so the last one is my favorite wearable knit, or my most, I've already mentioned it as my most worn knit. So this sweater is my boyfriend Cardigan. She's a very simple boyfriend style, which is kind of bigger, slouchier V-neck cardigan. And it was a pattern by Stephanie Chappelle. And gosh, it was so long ago, I don't really remember much about the pattern, but I modified the pattern for what I like in a boyfriend. So I made it a little bit wider on the bottom so that I have enough ease, because the other thing is I very much wear a boyfriend cardigan for like keeping warm in the winter in my household full of males. So this is one of my favorite finished knits because it's one of my most worn. Alright, so next I have only two accessories that I actually wear. For accessories, I love knitting neck accessories like shawls and scarves and towels and all that, but I personally don't like wearing neck accessories unless I'm skiing and it's actually really that cold. So the only accessories I really wear are like absolutely when I have to. One of them is this, which I found like 5 possible patterns on Ravelry, but I don't remember which one I used because it was before I was actively using Ravelry for my pattern. So this is a twisted cable, braided. I think it's a twisted cable because it's only 2. I feel like a braided cable would be 3. Earband, headband thing. So I knit this in Red Heart Super Saver in the color burgundy maybe, but old yarn. It's such an old yarn that it's actually from our first round of family road trips. It's like 5 or 6 years old, and then no, I forgot. So it's 7 years maybe. So I have this, and I knit this pattern up. Honestly, I just knit it because I was curious about what cables were like. This is my first ever cable, which I mean it's not perfect. There's definitely some like mistakes I can find, but also this is the first cable I ever knit, which is kind of impressive. And it's actually really well done, and I still wear it. It's not as warm as wool. I feel like it would probably be warmer in wool, or it'd be warmer if it didn't have this like holy 1x1 rib thing. I'm not even sure what that is, but so it's kind of holy. It's not as warm as I would like, but the cable's warm. So I still wear this a lot because it's the only headband I have that actually fits my head. I knit the Norwegian Rose headband the middle of last year, and it was gorgeous, and I loved it, and it was like I think it was like an adult medium maybe. I definitely have a small head, so as a general rule, I have to knit a tiny bit smaller, either like size down my knitting needle or cut out a row repeat or like a pattern repeat or something like that. But my next accessory that I love and I wear all the time is also a test knit. So this was the test knit for Yishifa's knits under the ivy beanie, which was a beanie, colorwork beanie pattern, to celebrate and like in inspiration or inspired by the Secret Garden. So this is really pretty. So it has a little ivy plant here. It has the flowers and it has smaller buds on the top. And I knit this in Lion Brand this Lion Brand Collection Baby Alpaca, I believe, in the color charcoal and lilac. And I really love this. I don't, as a general rule, like hats, but I do wear this quite a bit because it's warm and it's soft. I do like alpaca. It's warm and it's soft, and it's the first color work I've ever done that does not have like, it's not too tight, so it's not like gotten to the point where I can't wear it because it's been pulled so tight. So Michelle Fast did a really good job of, or Michelle did a really good job of explaining color work in her pattern. And so like my floats are nice. I feel like the whole thing turned out really lovely. And I love this hat. And when I have energy and time, I will hopefully knit more for people. But I'm not really a hat person. I really want to knit more of these kinds of headband things, but ones that are like thicker and warmer and not holey and sort of wool, so they cover my ears. Right. So as far as those things go, those patterns, and my top designers for this year, I looked into my Ravelry, my bought pattern, and top designers that I bought from, top designers that I follow and like save their patterns and want to knit from were Amy Christopher's, Far and Away, and then Marie Wallen, which is interesting because up until that hat, I was kind of leery of color work, but I find it so beautiful. I want to knit it. So, both of them, a lot of the things I like, I think for color work. So for Amy Christophers, I have knit one of her patterns, and it is Texas now. But I knit the pressed flowers kerchief, and I reworked it to make it much bigger into a pressed flower shawl with the flower border around the hem, and then I crocheted some ties onto it so that it can be worn. And I knit that in blue and white in an acrylic yarn by Premier Basic Acrylic, and that pattern was beautiful and lovely. And I'm really glad I started with the kerchief instead of knitting the cardigan, which is something that is on my to knit list and it's been in my queue for literally ever since I found Ravelry because I find it so beautiful. So that's why Amy Christophers is one of my top designers. I love her pressed flowers pattern. I also really like a lot of her other patterns. Like I like the kinds of stitch texture she uses in her pattern. She has one that looks like a waffle knit cardigan that I saved that I really want to make. Especially since she also tends to make the styles and sizes like sort of oversized but not like square boxy that I prefer. So I really like her pattern, and she is far and away one of my most favorite designers for this year. And then the next one is Marie Wallen, and that is definitely because of her color work. Like, and also because of people talking about her color work. Like, I can't remember which podcaster knit her cowl or something, but that color work pattern was so beautiful, and I'm not even a cowl knitter. I was like, ooh. So I started looking into her, and I have her tam, and I believe I have a bee style hat made, and a couple of her sweaters, and definitely her steeped cardigan, I think. I can't remember what it's called, but it is. Nope, I can't remember what it's called. It is the one that Retro Claude made. I love that pattern, and I saved it right away, so I want to make that one as well. And as far as new to me designers that I love, so I've mentioned that this was my first year on Ravelry. This is my first year knitting garments. This is my this was like my first year knitting for paper patterns. This was my first year. I had a lot of firsts this year. I think the thing about being a fairly new knitter and being a fairly adventurous creative is you don't know what you don't know, and you kind of just jump all in with both feet and figure it out. So like I definitely had issues, right? Like for example, my beachside cardigan had fit issues on the button band, which were me fit issues. Like I'm a very, very tight knitter. I, as a general rule, always at least go up a half a needle size. And that means that I also knit all of my ribbing in a larger needle size than called for. And usually that means that I knit the ribbing the same size as the body, because once you get me into doing knits and purls, I pull tighter. So it almost doesn't need to size down of the needle. So the issue for that was not the pickup rate of nothing in the pattern. It was, for me, the pickup rate meant that I was pulling things really tight, and it caused a little bit of bunching and everything kind of curled. And so I had to basically count every single row of the button band all the way around, and then knit a button band that length, and then sew it on by hand, which is fine because I'm a seamstress as well. So like, I mean, a lot of knitters talk about how they don't like sewing, but I find sewing yarn to be a lot easier than sewing thread. So I'm like, okay, I can see what I'm sewing into a lot better than when I'm trying to bind a quilt or something. Especially those teeny tiny little quilting needles. Like, they're so little. I'm just like, this is nothing. My tapestry needle is big. I'm good. um, so as far as some of the designers that I knitted from that were new to me designers, because the majority of the designers were new to me designers, I started the year after this knitting for my first test knit for Julia Pyro, and I knitted the Zephyr pullover, or the Zephyr sweater. I can't remember that picture of it. I did frog it. We'll talk about that later. But she was one of the first designers that I ever knitted from or found out about this year. And then after that, we have Annette Corsino, because I knitted the emotional support chicken along with everybody else. And then I knitted the cardigan by Lillian Olson. I knitted the hat by Michelle, who is Mishi Fraz Knits. I knitted, or started, and will probably finish first thing in the new year, My Salty Days by Veronica Lindberg. And also I knitted my Touch Flowers ish thing by Amy Christoffers. So I had a lot of new designers to me. I just kind of, this year was a lot about doing whatever struck my fancy, and then I think next year will be a lot of knitting to use up the yarn I have. So I think now we can talk about yarn. I will get the yarn so that I have actual yarn to show you. Okay, so when we talk about yarns, so I learned a lot about yarn this year as someone who's still a new knitter. Previously to this year, I did a lot of baby knits and I did a lot of blankets, and so I did a lot of like cotton acrylic blends or acrylic blend yarns. I have a lot of acrylic blended things in my stash still that I will have to work on using up, but this year I discovered things like Superwash Merino and regular Merino and baby alpaca, and I also discovered hand dyers. Like, I discovered local dyers. Unfortunately, I I mean, my timing was unfortunate. So this year I discovered local dyer. As soon as they closed their brick and mortar, I discovered new dyers across the country from me. I bought hand dyed yarn. I also bought some commercially dyed yarn that was nicer than acrylic. I also tried uh, mohair for the first time and discovered it was not for me. So we can start with yarn. So my favorite yarns, starting with my favorite yarn as far as feel, is it's gonna be this 100% Superwash Merino by Lion Brand, which I believe is like discontinued. They've had really good sales on it lately, so I bought a ton, but I only have a couple colors, so I will be very sad if this is no longer a thing. But this is what I currently really like. So this is 100% Superwash Merino, whereas it's like yes, 100% Superwash Merino, and it is machine washable, which is nice because the first time I knit with mohair ever, I knit with the most beautiful vegan mohair. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but I accidentally felted that pattern. It was so cute and it was so soft, and I was so sad. So yeah, I really really like Lion Brand. I know that like the brand, what are they called? The big box store brand. I don't know. I know stuff like this is more controversial in the knitting community. More or less. I don't know. I just personally, especially as an autistic person, like the sensory, the feel of the yarn really matters. And then also for me, like I get very easily distracted and frustrated by dye lot issues or different coloration things, and so I like to use a store yarn more often than not because I have a much better chance of getting a very small yarn, especially if I buy it all at once. I have yet to have a dye lot issue, but that doesn't mean I won't. So this one, and then also the Lion Brand Baby Alpaca, which I think honestly it may just be mohair. Maybe I need to knit with alpaca. I find this really soft, so that's good to think about. So yeah, I love this. It's so soft. It's so pretty. I love the colors. I love the way it turns out. Like the purple kind of reads as almost, I don't know, multicolored kind of. Oh boy, put it in the light. So all right, so my other favorite yarns are both my first ever store bought hand dyed. So this one is from Neighborhood Fiber Co. Now this is kind of a challenge for me because I traditionally don't knit with warm colors, and there's definitely a very warm like orangey yellow in here. But this was Neighborhood Fiber Co.'s special dye for the Blue Ridge, no, for providing that. And this is Blue Ridge and Valley with the proceeds going to support the recovery efforts in North Carolina in that village. So I got this one is studio stock, but I really like. I also got a bunch of their luxury lace in a bunch of other colors too that are named for the neighborhoods around where I live. But this is just the most beautiful, and so Neighborhood Fiber Co. is now one of my favorite yarn dyers. And I'm very excited to see how this works out. And then next is another sock yarn, I believe. Maybe not. The Stingray. Okay. So this is Fine Superwash Merino in the color Malibu, which is a fingering and is by Golden Hour Knitwear. So I love the like purple green colors, and it is very much a soft summer color, and I'm very excited to knit with this, although I don't know if I will be knitting a California sweater or something else, and also I don't know if I will be using the mohair after all, but I find this beautiful. So those two are my favorite yarns. And then finally, the tools that I believe you need, that I needed and did not know about as a knitter, are barber cords, or that's what they call them. So I got a bunch in this neon yellow. First of all, really easy to see. And also I got this thing, and I think these are actually like needle stoppers, but I use them to keep my barber cords from sliding off. So these things. And I, as a small person who, like, for the most part can just put stuff on with the needles in, these still have changed my life because it is so much easier to know what I'm doing. It's easier to like pull the needles back through when you need to, like what I'm doing here is I'm not ready to bind off yet, but I will have to put the needle on to bind off, and it's much easier on this. So that is one must have tool. So, dear God, I hope the lighting something. Anyway, we're building something together, and every single one of you matters. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos, to like and subscribe, to check out my Instagram, and to follow along. Like, I am just an itty bitty knitter in a big urban city. Well, not really. They call it Baltimore for a reason. So I'm just a knitter in Baltimore, Maryland, who is trying to do this thing and make friends and learn and continue to grow as a knitter. And hopefully in the next year, I can keep growing and doing more and more exciting things like the salty days and maybe more knit alongs. So until then, my name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram, find me on Ravelry under Hear Her Hands, which is the tag, the username I use both places. And if you enjoyed your stay, please about staying, about ringing that bell so be informed next time I upload. But I hope you did enjoy your stay. I hope you got some knitting or crochet or whatever it is you're doing finished, and that you will come back again soon. So until then, I'm Jennifer. Be well, happy knitting, and I will see you soon. Bye.